Hi, Shawn Miller of VanDyk Mortgage here. We wanted to bring on my own personal homeowner insurance agency that I've been working with now for approximately
10 years.
Yep, probably close to 10 years. This is Lindsey O'Donnell with Florida Best Quote. So we're here to talk about the changes in the homeowners insurance industry, flood insurance industry as well. We'll hit on some of those topics.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, sounds good. And how that can affect mortgage lending and just affect things in general. And we're going to give you some tips and tricks to
figure out how to navigate.
Yep, be ahead of the game here.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much for having me on. Like Shawn said, my name is Lindsey O'Donnell with Florida Best Quote Insurance. We are a local independent insurance agency, which just means we work with a whole bunch of different carriers and can write your coverage for homeowners through lots of different companies. We can shop flood through lots of different companies. So we're here to help try and make the insurance process as easy as possible for you. And then we also work a lot with VanDyk Mortgage and Shawn and his team to help get files to closing. So when you're looking to buy a home, insurance is required if you're getting a loan. So we try and make that process as easy as possible for you. So we're here today to just kind of go over what's been going on in our insurance industry, which if you've been paying attention to the news, has been a lot. There's been a lot going on. So I guess just to give a quick rundown of where we are in the home insurance industry and how we got here, there were a lot of things that changed over the last few years that have really impacted our home insurance carriers in Florida. One of the biggest things that's happened is a lot of litigation, and a lot of that litigation has had to do with roofing claims. The laws that we have in place, the systems in place to try and protect homeowners have actually created a little bit of a loophole for there to be a lot of profiting off of filing lawsuits against insurance companies, offering free roofs to homeowners, things of that nature. Just to give you kind of a quick number, Florida in 2021 accounted for about 9% of all home insurance claims across the country, and about 80% of all litigation against insurance companies in the entire country.
That's pretty crazy. So I moved into my house back in 2018. Roof was older, so I knew I had to replace the roof soon. I ended up replacing it last year. Had a neighbor that moved in. His house was built in 2001, same as mine. He moved in and he had filed a roof claim. Within the 6 months to a year after he moved in, he got a brand new roof out of that. I had to pay whatever, $23,000 for my new roof. And I was like, got to be careful though.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues that go along with it. So the problem is not the legitimate claims. When you have a roof claim, when there's hurricane damage to your roof, there are plenty of legitimate roof claims. If there's damage caused by a storm, then your insurance is there to pay for that. The problem that we've had is, like I said, the market had allowed for an opportunity for roofing companies to go knocking door to door and to partner with attorneys. So what they weren't telling you when they were saying they could get you a free roof was that they were not just filing an insurance claim. They were immediately filing a lawsuit against the insurance company. And then what we had in place was these attorney fee multipliers. So essentially your friend, if he got that $20,000, let's say a $20,000 roof, the roofer and the attorney he was working with potentially could have made hundreds of thousands of dollars. So there have been billions of dollars paid out to attorneys in litigation against insurance companies. Homeowners have only seen a very small fraction of that money. So there's a lot of money being paid out by the carriers, but it's not going to the homeowner. Yeah. It's going to those attorneys. And the major issue that we have is the insurance companies and then their insurance companies, because every insurance company in Florida has to have their own insurance. We call it reinsurance. The reinsurance companies also cannot figure out how to rate for this. They can rate for your $20,000 roof to replace that. They cannot rate for an attorney saying you owe us $700,000 for our time and energy here. So it's resulted in a lot of funds, a lot of carriers getting forced out of business into insolvency in the state of Florida. I think this year so far, we've already lost about 7 home insurance companies, which means we've had tens of thousands of homeowners in Florida suddenly told their policy was canceled with less than 30 days notice to get new policies in place.
Yeah, we got clients, contacting us, hey, we got this notification saying we don't have any homeowner insurance.
Right. And they did nothing wrong. Everything was fine, no claims, no issues, but their carrier was being forced out of business because they just didn't have the funds on hand to cover a major loss. So then we have to struggle to try and replace all that coverage. And what it does is it just creates a lot of uncertainty in the industry. There was also just one of the big things that was in the news was it was a Thursday that Demotech, which is one of our major companies that rates the insurance companies, they came out and said that they were going to downgrade. At first it was 17 companies, and then they were saying over 20, which would have pretty much been all of them. What that would have meant is if those, if all those companies were downgraded from an A rating down to an S rating, then all of our lenders, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, would not approve that policy. Sure. So even if you had a policy in place, your lender would have said, sorry, we don't approve this. And they would have said, we're going to force place insurance.
Yeah. Fortunately for you guys being a broker, one thing I like, you have multiple options.
Right.
So you have some properties that, may be having a roof replaced after the closing within 30 days or having this or that repair done after the closing. You have providers that will be more lenient with certain things where, the state-backed Citizens program might be more strict and they'll require the repairs done prior to the closing.
A little bit trickier.
So that's nice. I really like working with you guys because of that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about how to kind of navigate this whole market. The one thing I did want to make sure I touched on for everyone is that whole big scare with Demotech, they did come back and they only downgraded 2 companies so far. So we did not downgrade all those carriers. And also the state of Florida actually created a program with Citizens, our government-backed insurance, that says basically if a carrier gets downgraded, Citizens is going to provide the reinsurance for that carrier, which means that now meets Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines. So we don't have to worry about the crazy fallout we were all worried about. It was a very rough weekend that weekend while we waited for news. But so that if you saw that on the news, just, everything's okay. All the carriers that may see a downgrade, they are still getting that reinsurance. That means that if we have a major storm, even if your carrier was reduced to an S or an M, there is Citizens backing it up and using their assessment ability to pay all of those claims. So we'll all be covered.
Very good.
Which is good news. So what are we doing about this? What's been happening? There was a special legislative session that was recently called where they looked into everything and tried to pass a few laws to help the situation. There were a lot of different things put into the law. There were not a whole lot that are going to make the drastic impacts that we need to really solve the issues.
So and what you were hoping for, so for example, my neighbor who had a 20-year-old roof and he had the roof claim and they're put on a brand new roof, you all were hoping that they were going to do a depreciated payout,
right? Or what they actually call it is a roof services schedule endorsement. And just so we all understand, that's actually how a majority of the rest of the country operates. As your roof ages, the carrier and the insurance company will pay out less and less because that roof is older, so they're going to pay out a depreciated value on it. It does. When an example is when you have a car and your tires get old, you do not file an insurance claim to replace your tires. Buying new tires is part of the process of owning a car. The same goes for your home. As your roof ages, that's supposed to be a maintenance issue, not an insurance issue. But again, some loopholes and whatnot allowed the opportunity to say, no insurance company, you've got to replace all these roofs, which may have been fine if there had not been all those attorney fees on top of it. So essentially what we really need is for them to say that every carrier has the ability to require a homeowner with an older roof to accept this roof services schedule endorsement. Our light at the end of the tunnel is that we're hoping that after going into the 2023 season legislative session, we should have some change coming. We have some people coming into office who understand the issue, they understand what's going on, and they are promising to take quick action to solve the problem. So where we are now will hopefully get better.
And something just came into my mind. Claims, when you're filing claims, multiple claims. So like on my last home where we ended up having had a claim that was 5, 6, 7 years ago. I think something like that, where it was a legitimate claim. They had there was mold. They had to take out the cabinets, countertops. Yeah, they do everything. Well, then fast forward into this house. I had told you I had the water damage and there was water coming up and the floorboards were raising. And we ended up doing the claim and we got denied for the claim. And you said when you have multiple claims within a certain time frame that people have to really be careful because you're going to have trouble getting your homeowner's insurance placed.
Right. Absolutely. So one of the things that the carriers have always looked at is claims activity. They use computer analytics to determine how likely someone is to file an insurance claim to make sure that they can afford to take on that risk. So what the analytics have found is someone who files one claim is more likely to file another claim. Does it really always work out like that? Probably not. Again, but they're using computer analytics.
Yeah, I
to
mean, even
figure
if
it out.
they're still totally like legitimate.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that we always say, because a lot of the carriers now say if you have 2 or more water damage claims in the last 3 years, that's 2 in 3 years, water damage claims.
Yeah.
We have a lot of trouble placing that coverage. Even Citizens will not take it. So if you're looking at filing a claim with the insurance company for a non-act of God, so act of God would be your windstorm, your hurricane, tropical storm, those claims, that's okay to make those claims because those are legitimate. That's an act of God. The water damage losses, the carriers start to think, well, why do you keep having water damage issues? What's going on with your plumbing? What's going on with your appliances? Are you not taking care of your home properly? Yep. So it starts to make them a little bit wary of that. So what we do is we always say, give us a call first and we'll talk to you about it. We'll look at the overall cost of the claim. Okay. We'll look at what you'll get from the carrier versus your deductible. And we'll look at whether it makes sense to file the claim or not.
And just to clarify, call like the agent, yes. Not the actual insurance company.
Yes. If you call the insurance company and say the word claim, they're going to open a claim. And once that claim's open, even if you try and take it back and say, no, never mind, I don't want to file it, that claim is filed and that's on your record. And we have a really hard time trying to work around those. Yeah. I think I've seen some clients where they're having to pay $7,000, $8,000 and up a year in insurance because they filed 2 claims and the total payout was less than $2,000. So now they're paying thousands of dollars more than what they got from the insurance company. In some cases, it just makes sense to repair those damages yourself. And I know everybody always wants to say, this is why I have insurance. Insurance has a deep pockets. Let's utilize that. And the problem is that we just have to change that thinking a bit because we're paying those costs after the fact, that's coming back to us. So it's just a matter of a cost benefit analysis. If it's a small claim, an easy fix, let's pay it ourselves and keep it off the insurance. That way, if you do have that major loss, we can take care of it and the insurance is there for that. So definitely. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a good one. And that's a big one now because it used to be easier, but our options are just getting less and less and fewer and more expensive. So we've just got to be vigilant until rates start coming back down and there's more options again. So I mentioned they passed a lot of laws. There aren't really a whole lot of things that will really impact a lot, but the one that I know gets talked about a lot is a new law they said about roof ages. So the legislature came back and said that insurance carriers have to accept roofs up to 15 years old. They cannot deny a policyholder solely because of the age of their roof. Okay. And then if the roof is 15 years or older, they cannot deny coverage solely for the age of the roof unless they allow the homeowner to get a roof certification or an inspection from a roofer saying the roof has at least 5 years remaining useful life. Okay. So what does that mean? First of all, the immediate impact is a lot of insurance companies have kind of just backed out of writing insurance in the state. It's not a safe place for them to be in where they're being told what they have to offer. And it makes it difficult for them to get reinsurance, to figure out how to work around their costs when they're being told what they have to do. Sure. So there were a lot of companies that either said, we'll only take brand new construction, or they've said, we're not going to write in the state until things change a little bit. So that was our first fallout from that. But the carriers who are staying here and are still offering coverage, essentially up until 15 years old, they're allowing a homeowner, if they go out and say this is not in good condition, they are allowing a homeowner to get that inspection. So if you get a non-renewal or a cancel notice and your roof is less than 15 or over 15 years old, just talk to your agent and see if a roof inspection might work. If you can find a roofer who will give you that 5 years remaining useful life, then that could be something you could bring back to the carrier and see if we can't keep that coverage.
Well, what if I got the roof that had the 30-year warranty shingles or the 40-year warranty shingles?
Yeah.
What happens to that?
So, those warranties that they provide are just a general idea. And a lot of those roofs may last in other states, but they do not last that long in the state of Florida. Okay. A 30-year shingle roof is not going to last in our heat, our sun, our storms. They just don't. They historically haven't lasted that long. And the roofer can have their one guideline for what they say, how long the roof will last, but the insurance companies have their own.
Well, what about if I have a tile roof? Tile's supposed to last longer than shingle. What happens with that?
Tile roofs used to be allowed to have a lot longer. We used to have 30 to 50 years. A lot of the carriers would give. Now we're seeing a lot of more restrictions on tile roofs as well.
It's pretty expensive too.
They are very expensive. The reason that we're seeing a lot of restrictions there is roofers really enjoyed door knocking in areas where there were tile roofs because a much more expensive roof
Yes.
means more money.
Sometimes
And then,
almost as much as a house used to be in Florida.
Yeah,
we might be
yeah,
getting
the good old
$100,000
days.
from them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then also the tiles are just, it's really easy for those to be damaged. You know, they crack really easily. They get really brittle in this heat, things like that. So they're just not lasting as long as we all expected. And then there was a lot of an increase in litigation on those. So the
Okay.
carriers are a little bit more wary of insuring those homes.
Like, what would you say, 20 years?
20 years is where most carriers are. Citizens will still take a roof up to 50 years old for tile and metal.
Okay.
However, if they require an inspection, you have to have at least 3 years remaining useful life.
Got it.
So the state law says 5 years remaining.
Okay.
Citizens guidelines say 3 years. Now, one little thing on that, because I know a lot of times when we're going through the home buying process, we get our inspections, our inspector comes back and says, all right, you're good. Your roof has 3 years remaining useful life. All right, we qualify for citizens. We're good there. The problem is we want to make sure everyone knows that really only means you have 1 year of coverage, because once you're
Okay.
less than 3 years remaining useful life, you no longer meet their guidelines.
Okay.
So if you have 3 years remaining on your roof, you need to start talking to roofing companies, getting quotes and looking to replace it, because you will get non-renewed before your next renewal comes up. So just keep that in mind there. Now, speaking of citizens, you know, the one thing that we've just got to talk about really is, with all these changes, with all these carriers getting really restrictive on their options, Citizens has become a major player in the industry again. They were pretty much the main game in town back in 2010.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Right after the 04-05 hurricane season, everyone kind of left, you know, and just a reminder, we've been through things like this before. You know, this isn't new. This isn't some scary thing that came out of nowhere. We went through it after Andrew. We went through it after the 04-05 hurricane season. Everybody left us and we were stuck with Citizens and a few other options if you had a new home. So we've been here before. We will come out of this. But in the meantime, when you have to deal with Citizens with the home closing, the one thing, the biggest thing to keep in mind is that they are very strict with their underwriting.
Yeah.
They will take older roofs. They'll take a shingle roof up to 25 years old, as long as it has 3 years remaining useful life. So they're becoming our main option. However, if you want to use them to get through a home closing, that 4-point inspection, which is what's going to look at the roof, the plumbing, the heat and air, and the electric, has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Right. We cannot have any issues on it. Not even a single little double tap in the electrical panel.
Yeah.
No corrosion on the water heater, things like that. It has to be perfect.
And no repairs done after the closing.
We have got no
Everything
time
has
for
to be done
repairs
before.
after with
Okay.
Citizens. Right. They're very, very strict. They just won't allow it. So this is where we've got to start having the conversations again with, okay, if we have to go with Citizens, this is what we're doing. Now, they will allow repairs for the roof. So they will give you 60 days to replace the roof on a new purchase, only on a new purchase. So if you're buying a home that has that older roof, it needs to be replaced, and you're going to do it as a buyer within 60 days after closing, that's fine. We can get that approved. However, the seller may have to help repair some of the items, the other items on the 4-point if they come up. So it's just a matter of kind of working together to make it all work. The biggest thing I will say is just make sure you get your inspections done fast. You get them over to an insurance agent quickly, and then you call the insurance agent to review everything. Because along with the inspection and reviewing eligibility there, we also want to take a look at prior claims history on the house. You know, your wonderful pet Fido at home, if he's on an ineligible breed list, if we've got, you know, big dogs, things like that, that might be an issue. We just got to make sure we're working around all of those.
Some of your providers do a soft credit pull, some don't.
Yes.
So some of them, if they got good credit scores, it may help out.
Correct.
With lowering the premiums.
Correct. It's called an insurance score. It's not a full credit pull. It does not impact. I've checked with you actually.
Yeah, just soft and part.
Yep. You don't see anything when going through the loan process. So it's just basically a matter of taking a look to see how many open accounts you have, how long you've had them in place and whatnot. And if everything looks good as far as their computer analytics go, they'll give you a discount for that. So there's a lot of opportunities there.
Awesome.
All right. And I guess the only other things really that I would want to say is, again, so if you get any notices on your current home insurance, if you see a carrier on the news and you're panicked and worried, just talk to your insurance agent. You know, we're on top of it. We're getting all the information from the carriers.
Sure.
The news loves to be flashy and have the great headlines, but we've got the answers. We've got the information for you. So don't panic. Just give us a call. Give your insurance agent a call. Help you through it.
I mean, the letters are a little scary when you get them. So like I got an email on a property that we own in Georgia. And I showed it to you just before we started. It says you have no homeowners insurance on this property in Georgia.
Yes.
Well, okay. So I'm going to reach out to the insurance agent in Georgia, and I'm going to see, what the deal is.
What to
So
do.
sometimes the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing with the insurance companies.
Yes, a lot of times if your service provider changes during your insurance policy period after you've purchased your home. So anytime you get a letter saying, we're the new servicer and new provider for your loan, I would recommend immediately reaching out to your insurance agent and letting them know, because we don't find out unless someone tells us. And if
Okay.
we don't know, then we don't have the right information on the policy. So we may have the wrong mortgagee clause, which that just is an address that's on the policy that goes out to the loan servicer.
So that knows if it's sending it to VanDyk Mortgage, Wells Fargo.
Right.
BB&T,
Yep. It's a specific
whoever.
address. So it gets mailed at every renewal so that you
Okay.
guys have proof of insurance. If the insurance is escrowed, then that way they can pay using that. So we just need to be made aware that that change has made and we can fix it. A lot of times when you get those letters, it's just because they haven't reached out to us. So
Okay.
if we just send them the information, we can give them a call, usually upload it to mycoverage.com, get that information up there. And it's usually not a problem with your insurance. It's just a problem with the communication.
So usually the best thing is take a picture, snap a picture of whatever the piece of, mail that you get. My friend that has been going back and forth with you with his service provider.
We just
They
have to
said that
reach
they
out.
never got payment for the homeowner insurance or the flood insurance. Come to find out, you actually did send
Right.
the policy. They did make the payment on one, but he got another letter before that saying they didn't make the payment. So
Right. So
sometimes the mailers go out and they get them and they cross paths.
yeah, the other thing that I would say is, we can talk to them, we will call them, we will hound them, but sometimes it works best if you as the name person on the loan contacts them as well. Sometimes that can help move things along a little faster. Also, I know, for example, with my mortgage, I can go online to an account, I can check and see what payments have been sent out, what payments haven't. So always kind of be vigilant about that as well. Every time your renewals are coming up, especially now, especially during hurricane season, if you're escrowing your insurance, you want to make sure that that lender is making payment. So just
don't
check
just
your
throw it in the
account.
trash.
Right. Right. Check it, make sure it's there. There is, things are supposed to work smoothly, but they don't always.
Correct.
So we need to really just be our own best advocate, look into everything, contact everyone we need to, and make sure that it's getting done.
That's why it's good to work with, your local insurance company, your local mortgage company. We're here, even if after the transaction closes, we're still here to serve you guys.
Yep. Here to answer questions and help out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And you can reach Lindsey if you want to give your contact info.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. You can reach me at 813-850-2222. And again, I'm with Florida Best Quote.
And I'm Shawn Miller here at VanDyk Mortgage. You can reach our office 727-214-6400. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank
See ya.
you.